Okay, this needs to be understood in the background, in the more general background, which is the government's stated policy of decanting government departments from government-owned premises, in respect to which the taxpayer, you and I, do not have to pay tax, to privately owned properties. That is a fundamental point here that needs to be understood. The second point is that in respect of many of these properties, it's a significant amount of rent that we are paying on an annual basis. So if I can give you one example, which we have stated quite often recently in relation to the Dockyard building, it is in excess of £1 million a year. In respect of, for example, the St. Mary's School building, which is in Town Range and Victualling Yard, it is also in excess of, I think it's £1.13 million on an annual basis. And we ask the question, why is this the case? Now, in relation to the CSRO in particular, now called the Immigration and Home Office, what we are saying is the whole part of the argument that the government uses in its defense is that we are moving government services into plush, new, modern, state-of-the-art facilities. Within 8 to 9 months from the much publicized move of this particular department into Leanse Place, in respect of which we're paying £217,000 on a monthly basis, we already have a major incident. You question whether that department would have been better off in a refurbished, government-owned premises as opposed to a private one in respect of which they are already enduring flooding as a result of water ingress.
But Mr. Bossino, is the flooding really evidence of a bad leasing policy, or is it just a one-off building issue which can happen anywhere?
Well, no, I think it gives us the opportunity to highlight that these things happen in private properties, and I am simply relying on the argument used by the government and in particular the Chief Minister personally to say that this is a wonderful policy because we're giving to government departments, and therefore a service to the Gibraltarian public is being provided from pristine new, fantastic offices, when actually, properties suffer in respect of whichever properties, whether it's government owned or privately owned. So I think this is a fallacious and a wrong argument, and it is simply not value for money.
Well, what is the realistic alternative to leasing private offices for public services, particularly when some of those public services are housed in dilapidated buildings?
No, what you do is you refurbish the dilapidated buildings. This is not even economically sound for the Gibraltar government, as I've pointed out to you in respect of the humongous amount of rental that we are paying in respect, in some cases, of very long leases. And it's not just Leanse Place, it's not just the Dockyard building, it's also happening in Eurotowers, for example, or indeed in Europort. All these buildings, the taxpayer are paying significant amounts of money to private landlords in rent. And in return, what do we get? Flooded offices.
Okay, so would the GSD be against the sale and leaseback policy, particularly when, Mr. Bossino, if I might just put to you, there could be some circumstances where it might be more cost effective if a building really is past its sell-by date?
We are not saying, as a matter of principle, that we are necessarily against this. I said it in a previous interview. We need to look at it on a case-by-case basis. But what we have seen here is, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, is a massive shift on the part of the government to move all these government departments to these particular private properties. And that is what we are against. That is what we are questioning, and we are questioning the value for money rationale behind this decision of policy. Indeed, as the principal auditor himself commented in respect of his damning report of this government very recently.
And you're asking the government to state what action, if any, it's taking against the landlord?
Yes, there's the other, precisely, that's the other element. If it is the case that these responsibilities are pushed over to the landlord, which is what the Chief Minister said is one of the positive things of his policy, then we need to understand from the government, and the government ought to be issuing a statement as to what action it is going to be taken against these particular landlords in respect of this incident.